For today's video, we're going to talk about whether or not plant spacing matters, because it matters in some, but not all cases. Turns out the back of the seed package and or your grandma's special spacing recommendations are not garden folklore. They are backed by science. Let's take a look at one plant specifically, tomatoes. Behind me here, I have all my tomato babies, and there actually was a Canadian study done on tomatoes planted in a greenhouse setting. What they discovered was when these tomato plants were crammed too tightly, it ended up resulting in a stringier plant and smaller fruit size. So stringier plant can mean less ability to support the plant as a whole, a less photosynthesis producing power or foliage, which just in turn all affects your tomatoes. And who wants small tomatoes? Nobody, absolutely nobody. By the way, oftentimes people are saying it's a fire alarm in my videos. I need to change my battery. It's that little demon right there, who does mimic the fire alarm, because Ashley may or may not burn bacon regularly, but that's the fire alarm. This next one I actually don't have in my garden, but I did find a study that is quite interesting, and that is on asparagus. Now, the reason why I find this study so intriguing is that it was an 11-year study. Yes, 11 years. Partially because asparagus are just naturally slow, but 11 years for a study, particularly in the plant world, is quite extreme and very rarely seen. So here's the thing. When the asparagus were planted closer together, they did produce more spears, but the spears that were produced were considered smaller. So depending on what you want the asparagus to look like or act like, actually planting them close together may work in your benefit. I personally don't really like the really thick, they almost taste like bark. I don't know. I don't like those asparagus. I do like the tiny asparagus though. So this may be a crop, depending on what your palate likes at your dinner parties, maybe one you actually want to smoosh together. So the next one is actually soybean. Now, I included this study not because you guys grow soybean, but I included it because it touches on the fact that not all rules apply to all plants. And that is because soybean had little to no yield changes regardless of the spacing that it was given. What that means is that the seed spacing doesn't apply on every single plant, and in some cases you may need to be your own garden scientist to figure out what spacing works best for the plant that you're dealing with. If you have any plants, Geek Crew, that you believe do well in a crowded situation, then comment them down below. Help out your fellow geek gardeners. Like I always say, the comment section is way smarter than me. So trust me, just listen to what they say. Corn, the OCD overachiever. And you guys will know this. If you're trying to plant corn in raised beds or containers, they tend to perform poorly. And that is because spacing is very important with corn. They absolutely lose it and perform poorly when they feel smooshed. For every 1 centimeter in which they were crowded, 80 kilograms per hectare was lost in yield. That is a shocking number. So corn, do what the spacing says. Okay, this last one is like a complete bonus and actually is very applicable to any gardeners that are container gardeners, because here's the thing. One study did something called dynamic spacing. So what this is when the tomatoes are moved farther apart from one another as they grow bigger. So initially they're planted very close and they're kept close, and then they're moved apart slowly as the leaves begin to overlap. Guess what happened? Wonderful results. It worked fantastically. So if you're starting your tomatoes indoors, you've got them in a tray, maybe consider leaving them in that tray so long as you can keep them watered for longer. When you go to pot them up into their nursery pots, try to again keep them relatively close. If you put them into containers, again keep them close and then just pull them apart slowly as they begin to grow. That was just a total bonus, and I thought that study was so cool. So we can obviously understand that spacing is important. You give plants proper spacing and they give you food to eat. It's the trade-off of the year. Here's the thing. Out of all the studies I looked at, none of them showed a detriment when we actually pulled the plants farther apart other than that asparagus study. So what this means is that I would say on average, the seed packaging recommendations is the recommendation you should go with when it comes to spacing. The reason for this is because people bitch about seed companies, whether it's the germination rates or the performance of the plant. So a seed company does not want you to have lower yields or a poor performing plant. They want you to be successful. So then you go to your garden friends and you say, hey, this is the success I had with this brand in this seed, blah, 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 blah. So they're not setting you up to fail when they give these recommendations. I personally fall victim to this all the time. I constantly try jamming things together. And you know what? The tomato study about leggy tomatoes, it actually resonated with me because I have noticed that when I pack my tomato beds too full, I get leggier, stringier tomatoes, and I do get smaller fruits. So just this year, Gig Crew, when I go to transplant my tomatoes, just whisper in my ear, don't do it, Ashley. Don't smoosh them. Because I will smoosh them like clockwork every freaking time. Any users, I will talk to you next time. Bye.